Good morning, world. I am Judy, your web-based therapist, making therapy accessible and convenient for our clients in Florida, in New York, and of course, sharing information worldwide. Today, I want to talk about 5 ways or 5 things you can do to help people who suffer from seasonal affective disorder, especially during the pandemic, because we know that the seasonal affective disorder, also known as winter depression or winter blues, is going to be starting to present in the coming weeks or in the coming months for many people. And especially during the pandemic, it's probably going to be a little bit tougher, and there will be more people suffering from this, from winter blues or seasonal affective disorder. So I want to talk about 5 things that you can do, everyone can do, to help other people who are suffering from this. But before I get in, I want to take a moment and say, if you are subscribed, thank you so very much for being a part of our world. And if you are not yet subscribed, please click the subscribe button below so that you can become a part of our wonderful world. And if remember to tick the bell so that you are notified, so that you don't miss anything when I post new stuff. And of course, if you'd like to purchase 1 or 3 of my books, there's also a link below that will take you to a site that shows you all the different places, your options for purchasing 1 or 3 of my books. Okay, first thing you can do is be intentional about checking in. Sometimes we have I'll check in, I'll do it, I'll reach out. I want to reach out and see how so-and-so is doing. But it becomes more of one of those things that you will do if and when you have time. But be intentional. Make it a thing that you plan and want and actually do. Because when people are suffering, a lot of times they are not reaching out. They're not in that place of, oh, let me reach out and tell so-and-so that something is going on, that I need them. They're not in that space. So it becomes a lot more important for the people who care about them, the people in their lives, their loved ones, to be the ones to be intentional, to be making sure that they are serious, that they are diligent about checking in on them, about reaching out, especially if it's someone that you are used to hearing from every so often, and you see that, hey, the time has passed and I haven't heard from this person. Making sure that you're checking in just to make sure that they're okay. Make it a thing that you intend to do, that you plan to do, and actually do. 2, engage them in things that they normally enjoy. Again, with depression, a lot of times the person gets into that space where they don't really feel like doing it. They don't have the energy to do it. They don't have the interest to do it. So more than likely, they're not going to be initiating and reaching out and say, hey, do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? So it's up to the people in their lives, the people who love them, the people who care about them, to find ways to engage them in some of these things that they normally would enjoy. And it gives them an opportunity to get out a little bit and spend some time, and it gives them an opportunity to release a little bit. It gives them an opportunity to step away. So take time. If you can find things that you know you enjoy, whatever those things are that you do with them when they're at their best, find ways to help them get to do those things when they are in that winter blues phase. 3, be encouraging but not badgering. It's one thing to encourage people. It's one thing to share a supportive word. It's one thing to tell people, to give people, motivation. But it's important to not badger them, that you're not over there telling them what they're doing wrong or what they need to do or what they should be doing or how they should be kicking this thing's butt. And I always say, if it starts with should, you probably should stop saying it. Be supportive. That's what the person needs right now. Anytime a person is going through depression, they don't need to be badgered. They don't need people to tell them how much they can do better, how much they need people to encourage them. They need people to be supportive. They need people to be there for them. They need to know that, hey, the conversation we're having is from a place of love, but it's not necessarily, hey, every day you're going to call them and tell them how to do things and push them and force them to do things that they're not ready to do. It's one thing to encourage a person to do things, but it's and definitely do not make the person feel bad. There's nothing worse than you're feeling already down and someone calls you and tells you, oh, you should not be letting this thing. Really? You really think that if a person had the option, they would sit there and be depressed when, they had the option of not being depressed? So don't tell them that, don't make them feel bad about where they are. Support them and help them find ways to get out of that space. If they need to get services and you notice that they don't have, help them gain access to services. Whatever it is that you need to be encouraging, to support them, but don't be badgering. 4, be lovingly persistent. Sometimes when a person is experiencing depression, they may not feel like having a conversation. They may not feel like engaging in certain things, but knowing them gives you an opportunity to kind of know when and how far you can push. Perfect example. The other day, I reached out to a friend whom I knew was having a bad day, and she answered the phone with, Dr. Judy, can I call you tomorrow? And I heard in the voice that she was in that down moment, and she heard what she'd been doing all day was pushing everyone away and sitting in her funk. And when she asked that question, I said, no, you can't. And she says, I'm not feeling well. Like, I know, that's why we're calling and we're having a conversation. And we did. We had a conversation. We talked about what was going on, and we talked about resources. And then by the end of the conversation, her voice sounded different from what it was when I first got on the phone with her. Sometimes knowing the person, knowing where you are, knowing who you're working with gives you an opportunity to be lovingly persistent. You're not going to push the person to go out and go to 5 parties in a week, but knowing who they are, knowing what they enjoy will allow you to some days say, yes, I know you said you wanted to cancel our lunch, but we're not canceling lunch. We are going to lunch and this, that, and the other. So find that balance where you can be a little bit persistent out of love, but not necessarily badgering the person. 5, don't take things personal. Remember that it's not about you, especially as the person is working through their depression and is trying to figure out how to get out of this space. A lot of the energy they have, they want to conserve, and they don't actually, what little energy they have, if any, they're trying to conserve that just to do the daily breathe in, breathe out of everyday life. So a lot of times they may not feel like, or sometimes they may not even think about calling you back or reaching back out or whatever it is that they were supposed to do for you. It's not that the person does not care. It's just that depression can be that strong. So remember that it is not about you. So if you're checking up on someone because you care about them, because you know that they need it, and then you reach out one time and they didn't call you back, and then you reach out a second time, and the third, don't get upset that, oh, why is she not calling me back? Or why hasn't he reached out? I did my part. No, when you are doing something because you care about someone, keep doing it. Even if the person has not reached out back, continue to do whatever it is that you can to be that supportive friend. It's not about you at the moment. It's about them. It's about what can you do to help them get through this moment, to help them get through this phase. It's a short-term thing. Hopefully soon enough, they will get back to their normal self, and it will be that reciprocity back in your relationship. But in the moment when they need you, focus on being there for them, even if it feels like it's a one-way street. Okay, let's do a quick recap. 1, be intentional about checking in. Plan it, intend to make plans to do it, and make sure that you do it because they need it, and they are more than likely, when they're in that space, they're not thinking of calling you, even if they do need to talk to you. 2, engage them in things that they normally enjoy. This means if whatever activities that you normally do with that person, find opportunities to bring that to give them a chance to do that. Find opportunities to bring that to their environment, to their life. 3, be encouraging but not be badgering. It's one thing to give someone words of encouragement, but don't make them feel bad. Don't push them beyond where they can go. It's one thing to encourage the person and give them that little bit of a little bit of a nudge, but pushing that person or badgering them indefinitely, do not, under any circumstance, for any reason, ever try to make a person feel bad or guilt because of where they are. 4, be lovingly persistent. Sometimes when a person is depressed, the natural tendency is to push everyone away because they're able, so that they can just stay with where they are and conserve their little energy. But sometimes you need to be able to break through that barrier. So be lovingly persistent. They may not want to talk a long time, but hey, have a 2-minute conversation, have a 5-minute conversation where you can check on them and kind of, hey, bring them a smile for a moment. 5, don't take it personal. It is not about you. It is about them. If your intention is to help and be there and support someone, be there and support them, even if they're not able to reciprocate at the very moment. So just be there and continue to be there because they need you. As always, if you or someone you know happens to be going through something that's more than you can handle, remember that there are professionals like myself who are available, able, and willing to help, and are even providing remote services who can assist with whatever you may have going on. So please figure out who those people are in your community so that if you need them, you can reach out and get the help that you need. And that is all we have for today. Good morning, world. Have an awesome day.